Okay, let's get back. Can you hear me? Are we waiting for more people to join back? Or shall I start? As in, shall I continue?
Samat from Goa. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. This is Sanjot. Goa. In fact, I was having some of problem on my mobile number, so I logged in from a different email ID.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Is it okay, no, for certification?
I'm not.
Okay, I will put a separate mail regarding that tomorrow.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, no, no. She is my spouse. I am Sanjot Kamat.
Okay. Uh, Somebody has mentioned. What is this? 1 second. Record the session facing lots of glitches. I am not getting the record option on my screen at all. Maybe because I'm not the host. So I'm not able to um, record this. Okay, let's continue. By the way, since this is the first day and you might need some time to get used to my teaching mechanism, and I will also need to familiarize myself with you. So I'm taking it in a rather slow pace, and I'm clarifying and repeating and explaining more in detail. And also the concepts we're dealing with today are not that complex. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, we will need to probably go a little faster so that we can cover as much as possible. And the concepts we will be dealing with will be more complex than today. But today will definitely be a foundation for the upcoming 2 days. All right, so let me present my screen again. Anybody, any questions so far? If there are no questions, then okay. How to read the Companies Act 2013. So we are entering the most important and rather crucial part of today's workshop. We start with understanding how do we read the Companies Act 2013. What do I mean by that? Firstly, always use the latest version. This particular sector, the corporate sector, is so fast, it is so rapid, and the developments happening are so fast that the law changes by the day. You will see SEBI notifications coming every day. You will see RBI notifications coming every other day. So you need to ensure whatever law you are using is the latest version. How do we ensure that? So for Companies Act 2013, what we will do is, I have you all joined through your laptops. I hope you have. So open the MCA website. If you know these things, we can skip it. Why I'm dealing with this is because sometimes the most complex tasks or assignments given to us, we end up doing a bad job just because our basics wasn't clear. We used the wrong version of the act, or we did not know where to look, or we end up asking others, what was that specific instruction that the scene has given? I'm not quite sure. Which means that academically we are able to grasp concepts, but we don't know what that translates to. What does it mean when we say incorporation of a company? When I say the word company, you might not know its exact company's law definition, but you should be able to tell these fundamental concepts. Or when I say incorporation, I'm sure by the English word incorporation, you are clear what it means. But what does it translate to for a company in practice? You will not know. So that is why I'm using the topic of incorporation and how to read Companies Act to actually practically enhance your understanding and experiential learning on the practical side of this. So open the MCA website. My screen is visible, right? Are you doing the exercise along with me?
Yes, ma'am.
What about the rest? Okay, it will be beneficial. Okay, so Ministry of Corporate Affairs, that's the MCA. Go to this Acts and Rules, this one here. Click on ebook, click on it. And then you will see Acts, which will be a long list. Click on Acts, see this long list of statutes. And then click on Companies Act. Could you do this much? And then these are all the chapters within Companies Act. You can directly refer it on the website itself. For example, if I click chapter 1, it is going to show me how many sections are within chapter 1, and I can click each section and read it here itself. Or I can just download the whole thing here on the right side in a PDF version. If you click on PDF,
And can you repeat again the steps after acts?
yeah. So what did I do? I went to MCA website, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. I clicked on Acts and Rules, this one, and I clicked on ebook. Okay. Then here there is a list of acts here, left side, which has all these statutes. I'm clicking on Companies Act. So the Companies Act has opened. It says status current version. Amendment 2020, that is the Companies Act 2020 amendment was the last amendment to Companies Act. So it has all these chapters within the act, from chapter 1 all the way till chapter 29. So I can refer to each section here itself by clicking that particular chapter and the section within that chapter, or I can just download the whole thing in a PDF version here, top right. If I click on it, it will ask me if I want the whole act or just that current section. So I want the whole acts. So it will download this for me. Did you understand? So always use the latest version. When I take classes, during my classes in universities also, whenever I'm dealing with any written law, if it's Consumer Protection Act or if it is Motor Vehicles Act, I always try and take a couple of minutes just to explain where should they refer for the latest version of the act, which is the most authentic site where we can trust that this will give me along with the latest amendments. Okay, just to make us more legally sound. Next, the table of contents will give you the events in its lifetime. This is interesting. So if we look at, I have the Companies Act here with me. So if we look at the table of contents, tell me if you can see this. Visible?
Yes, ma'am.
So see, this is the Companies Act 2013 and the arrangement of sections here, chapter wise. It will give me the entire lifetime of a company, starting with incorporation of company. That means the company is first set up, it is born. Then prospectus and allotment of securities. That means the company will now have a share capital, it will have certain securities, it will have shares, it will allot it to certain people. Then multiple events like share capital, registration, it is doing some compliance, it will register its charges. Management and administration, who will take care of all the affairs of the company. Then other events like dividend payment, accounts of the company, audit of the company, who will be the auditors, appointment and qualification of board of directors, who can be the director, how will they be appointed. So this list of chapter wise sections given will give you an insight into the entire lifetime of the company. Meeting of the board and its powers, what all can the board of directors decide on, what is the extent of powers they have, how will they exercise it, appointment and remuneration of managerial personnel, inspection, inquiry and investigation by say the central government or the investigation officer into the company, how will that take place. Mergers, acquisitions, arrangements, amalgamations, all of this is a separate chapter. Prevention of oppression and mismanagement. If certain shareholders are being oppressed by the majority shareholders, what can they do about it? And then removal of names from the register of companies. Winding up. So we started with incorporation, we end with winding up. So this list will give you the entire lifetime of the company. So every time you have a question relating to, if you are being given a question on company law, you don't exactly know the section, but you remember, oh, I know that list. Somewhere in that list I will know that, okay, between incorporation and winding up, somewhere is the qualification of director, somewhere is that accounts and audit. So maybe there is where the answer will lie to whatever question is being asked. If somebody is asking you about can these two companies merge, you don't exactly know the answer, but you know where to see, where, what section or what part to read to give that answer. So once you look at, with, if you, like I said, hand has memory, if you write it down you remember it faster. So once you look at this list, you will know next time when a question is asked, you can imagine or you can understand where to look. So that helps. Okay, so first always use the latest version. Then table of contents gives events in its lifetime. And then third, the definition section. I'm sure you know this, that most written laws will have either section 2 or section 3 as, or sometimes section 5 as the definition section. This definition section, of course, gives very pinpointed definitions on how to read certain words within that statute. It will qualify or it will give the meaning of those certain words used within that statute. So, of course, to read Companies Act, you need to be on top of the definition section. Also, you need to know the meaning of those words. In what sense is it used? For example, I'll give you an interesting example. When I was teaching banking law, the word bank is defined in Banking Regulation Act as any bank which is given license by RBI. Normal bank, all your banks. But the word bank in the RBI Act, the Reserve Bank of India Act, the word bank is defined as the RBI. So whenever you will read RBI Act and you keep reading so many places, it says bank can do this, bank can do that. That doesn't mean any bank can do it. Because if you go to the definition section, it will specify bank here means only RBI. So that same term, and in the same banking sector, you will have both this RBI Act and Banking Regulation Act. But a very common word, a very fundamental word, bank, is used so differently in both these laws. So you have to be on top of a definition section that will automatically enhance your learning when you read the section. And lastly, read along with the corresponding rules. This is something I feel we as students of law don't do. We do not look at the rules. We just look at the statute, we just look at the act, and we actually don't bother about the rules. But in company law, you cannot do that. In fact, every chapter that you will see later on, if it is a chapter on, like we saw in the list, chapter on appointment of directors. There is a rules for appointment of directors. There is a chapter on registration of charges. There is a separate rule for that. So each chapter will have its own corresponding rule. So the rules in Companies Act have a major role to play in giving that detailing and that specific prescription on what exactly has to be done. If the act says make XYZ filing, who has to make it? Within how many days? If you don't do it, then what happens? How to make that filing, online or physical? Do I have to sign it or does it not require a signature? How many people are required to sign it? And can I ask for an extension? These specific prescriptions will be given in the rules because the act cannot specify every single detail, right? So always supplement your understanding of the act with the corresponding rules. Once you do this, you will be so equipped with your understanding, your aptitude, and your perspective of corporate law. And that's what you anyway chose, right? That's what you want at the end of the day. Okay, did you understand this so far? How to read the Companies Act? And each
Yes,
of
ma'am.
you have the act open with you now, because now we're going to start reading into the act, and I will require you also to read along with me. Otherwise, it will just sound as if I'm parroting what the act says and it will not make sense to you. So please have the act open in your laptop also for maximum understanding. Okay? Next. So now we start with incorporation. It is the first phase, the beginning, the first initial phase of a company, which is incorporation. And that means the setting up of the company, the coming into existence of the company. It is through the incorporation stage that you can say, okay, this company exists, it has been incorporated. Can we use a similar term for any other form of business? No, it says incorporation, so it's a term specific for corporation corporates. You incorporate it, you have brought that particular corporate into existence. So my question to you is, why is the procedure so detailed? Whatever we are going to read today about incorporation, which is going to take a good 1 hour, why is there a need to give such detailed procedure on just the setting up of an entity? From what I have spoken about so far, from what you've heard so far, you probably can give the answer. I think you can give the answer.
And can you repeat, please?
Yeah, I'm asking that just for setting up a company, just for incorporation, there are a lot of procedures given. What is the need for such detailed procedure just for setting up? It's not even doing any activity or functioning. I'm just setting it up, and that has so much procedure or so much law. What is the need?
That in future no one can say that that because of that I have no proof that they have form a company or like this.
Okay, for proof, say for documentation, that's one. That's one, maybe say small reason. But something bigger. Think specific. Like whenever I'm asking you a question specific to companies, understand why I'm not asking the same thing for partnership. Why am I not asking for that grocery store bhaiya? Why am I asking it only from the perspective of a company? That means you need to go back to the fundamentals of the company. What is that fundamental concept of company that applies here? Which is
As
why,
it is a legal entity,
yeah,
as it is a legal entity, so I guess that proof only for proof that yeah it is a legal entity and it works alone. It act uh, as a human. It we can say that it is a personal human. So all the way it need a proof to that it is a company and it acts like these things like.
correct. I think this was a much like good answer. Anybody else wants to try? Good one, Anshika.
Ma'am, it basically acts like an artificial person as it is a separate legal entity having perpetual succession.
Correct. So separate legal entity and perpetual succession. That means today if I set up a company and I'm not there myself and I'm no more there, then where is all the documents relating to everything that has been decided about this company? Because the company has to still exist even if I am not there. That means all these detailed procedure have to be in place to specify all that has been decided about that company so that it can continue even if the original decision maker is not there anymore. I envision the company a certain way. So if during the incorporation stage itself I'm not specifying who are going to be the managers, how much money have we initially put into the company, what is the name of the company, and where is its office, if anybody wants to file a complaint, they don't have to keep asking me about it just because it was my vision. If I'm not there, the incorporation procedures and rules involve so many filings that everything about the company is now in one place, like she said, for proof, because it's a separate legal entity and it has to continue to exist. But the same amount of detailed rules will definitely not be there for a partnership or for the grocery store person, because there is no need or there is no liability or there is no duty on the company to continue to exist when its original founders, original promoters are no more there. So that's why the incorporation rules or the incorporation procedures provisions are so detailed. Good. Okay, so chapter 2 of Companies Act 2013 talks about incorporation of company and matters incidental thereto. That's what chapter 2 says. So from section 3 to section 22, you can refer to the Companies Act 2013 you've just downloaded. This is your entire chapter 2. And the good thing is that for this type of different learning that we're doing today, where we're not just reading provisions, we're actually looking at the practical side of it also, the incorporation topic is quite easy and quite comfortable. In other, say if I'm dealing with a very complex topic, then it's already complex and you're also trying to understand the practical sides of it, it might become a bit more daunting an exercise. But incorporation as the first topic, along with the practical aspects, I think you might find it a bit comfortable. Or if you already know this, then please let me know, then maybe I can skip the practical sides. Or are you comfortable with this teaching mechanism?
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else? Works?
Yes.
Okay. So let's continue. So first thing is definition of a company. Why have I put it here? Because it has a direct bearing on the incorporation. So section 2, subsection 20 says company means a company incorporated under this act or under any previous company law. So simple. Basically, it's saying wherever in this entire Companies Act 2013, they are using the word company, it means that that company which has been incorporated or established under this specific act or any previous company law. That means any company incorporated by any foreign country's Companies Act will not come under the definition of company. So wherever say Companies Act gives certain benefits to company, that foreign company cannot take benefits because it is not coming under the definition of company we just read. It has to be incorporated under this act or any previous company law. Okay, next question. Do you know what are constitutional documents? Like generally, when we say constitution, what strikes in your mind? Correct. I think you saw it in my PPT. When we say constitution, what strikes you?
The law which governs the country.
Yeah, correct. The Indian Constitution. When we say Constitution, generally what strikes us is the Indian Constitution. That one ultimate grand norm, so to say, which lays down the systems of governance, the forms of governance, our interaction with our government, and the three wings with each other. So similarly, this is not a defined term. We use it only in practice, in corporate law practice. We use this term when we say, go back to the fundamentals and go check the constitutional documents. What we mean by that is the AOA and the MOA. And why do we mention that? We will see once we look at those provisions. Okay. Now let us start with our understanding of the incorporation chapter. Section 3. Can you also open section 3? Chapter 2. Is this visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Chapter 2. Incorporation of company and matters incidental thereto. Section 3 says formation of company, and it says a company may be formed for any lawful purpose by 7 or more persons where the company is public, 2 or more persons where the company is private. So, easy academic learning, you need 7 or more persons to be members in a company if it is a public company, 2 or more persons if you want to start a or you want to incorporate a private company. And then it says a company formed under subsection 1 can either be a company limited by shares or by guarantee or an unlimited company. So now that you have this understanding of what we discussed so far about fundamental concepts of company, when you read section 3, I am sure you're able to immediately link that concept we learned about limited liability. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes,
a
ma'am.
fundamental concept that we have learnt about how that translates to law is that it will prescribe specifically as a core tenet or a core nature of the company itself. Section 3 clearly says a company incorporated can either be a company limited by shares or a company limited by guarantee or an unlimited company. So we can quickly identify, oh, okay, so they are already mentioning that fundamental concept we just understood. Let's go further. Memorandum. Memorandum of a company shall state 6 things. Name of the company, and that name should have the word limited if it's a public limited company, and the words private limited if it's a private limited company. Then the memorandum should tell which state the state in which the registered of the company is to be situated. Then the memorandum should have the object for which the company is proposed to be incorporated. For what reason are you setting up this company? Is it for doing some trade? Is it for communications? Is it for some steel machinery? Is it for some power? Is it for digital, what to say, digital appliances? What is it for? Is it for some service? Is it for goods? So first is name. Let's note this down. I will also mention in our chat box. Name, limited or private limited. Then state, objects or purpose. The liability of members of the company, whether limited or unlimited. That means there has to be a liability clause. And then capital, which will include the amount of share capital with which the company is to be registered and the number of shares each subscriber to the memorandum intends to take. Okay. Now I would request you to pay some specific attention. When we read this specific section like this, the way I just read, it is so dull and it is so dry. And maybe by the next semester, we would probably even forget it. But I will now show you an MOA. I will show you a memorandum of association and I will show you these specific clauses. And that might help you retain better memory on what this MOA is. And remember, this constitutional document, that is the memorandum and the articles, are so fundamental to the company that there is a separate procedure